Hello friends, I am Nikhil Kumar. I am professor in the Department of English of Veer Kumar Singh University, Ara, in the province of Bihar in India. Today, I wish to speak on Sri Aurobindo as the supramental poet. Sri Aurobindo's poetic consciousness manifests the evolutionary breakthrough in the creation. It is in fact the evolutionary breakthrough in the evolution which is going on in matter. Up till now, we have witnessed that in course of evolution, life has evolved out of matter, mind has evolved out of matter, and mind continues to evolve. But with the very coming of Sri Aurobindo, a higher order of consciousness, which is the transcendent consciousness, manifests in him. On an examination, we find that the transcendent consciousness is the consciousness which exists prior to this creation. In fact, it is this consciousness which has brought the creation into existence. And this very consciousness is found to be integral in nature. In view of this very fact, we can use the term supramental for this transcendent consciousness. This transcendent consciousness has descended into the being of Sri Aurobindo, and it is this transcendent consciousness which gives him the vision of the pre-creation state of existence. This pre-creation state of existence Sri Aurobindo presents in his monumental epic Savitri, which consists of 24,000 lines. The first canto very categorically presents the pre-creation state of existence. In fact, the very first line of the first canto of the epic Savitri begins to reveal the pre-creation state of existence very categorically. The line is, "It was the hour, H-O-U-R hour, before the gods awake," G capital. Let us try to know what does Sri Aurobindo mean by the term gods. In fact, there is one supreme God. Sri Aurobindo is aware of this fact because he is a born yogi. But this very supreme God comes into manifestation in the form of the creation itself. The first line of the opening canto is, "It was the hour, H-O-U-R hour, before the gods awake." When we try to know the meaning of this first line, it means gods are sleeping. Now here we are required to know what the term gods means here? There is one supreme divine, there is one supreme God which comes into manifestation. When that supreme divine comes into manifestation, the creation comes into the existence, and in this creation different cosmic functions come to exist, and these gods are the chief cosmic functionaries. So they come to be the emanations of the one supreme divine which comes to be many. The Vedic rishis speak of the cause of this creation. They say that this creation has come into existence as a result of the will of the Supreme Divine. They express it very poetically in Sanskrit. Eko aham bahusyam praja ayam. I am one, become many, yet remain the same. This I is one Supreme Divine, which is transcendent consciousness, transcendent integral consciousness. It comes to be many. When it comes to be many, different cosmic functions come into operation. The cosmic functions come into existence and they come into operations, and the gods are the chief cosmic functionaries. So when these gods are sleeping, it means the cosmic functions are not in operation. So when the cosmic functions are not in the operation, it means there is no creation. So obviously this very opening line, it was the hour before the gods awake, presents the pre-creation state of existence. Later on, Sri Aurobindo says in the second line, across the path of the divine event, E capital, the huge foreboding mind of night alone, N capital, in her unlit temple of eternity, lay stressed, immobile upon silence march. So let us concentrate on the second line, across the path of the divine event. The event is the manifestation of the Supreme Divine. In modern scientific term, we can call it or view it as evolution. So, before the beginning of the evolution in matter, across the path of the divine event, that is to say, Sri Aurobindo speaks of the path, the process, the ladders of this evolution. In fact, in Sri Aurobindo and in the Vedas, evolution has a different concept. The scientific concept of evolution is quite different from the concept of evolution, or rather the vision of evolution, which is there in the rishis and in Sri Aurobindo. Evolution is the unfoldment of what is already folded, what is already latent. So Sri Aurobindo visualizes the stages of the unfoldment. The divine is folded as a result of the will of the divine, the separative principle of the divine consciousness comes into operation and creation comes to be the many. Eko aham bahushyam. And in many, one supreme divine comes to be involved. Science says that life evolves out of matter. Mind evolves out of life. But Sri Aurobindo says that Vedic rishis are very correct in their vision to say that since the elements of life, mind and higher planes of consciousness are involved in matter, evolution takes place. That is to say, there is a phenomenon inverse to evolution, which he calls involution. This involution precedes evolution. So when one transcendent comes to be many through its separative principle, the process of involution starts. And as this involution proceeds, the one divine comes to be concealed more and more. So Sri Aurobindo has the vision of this path of the divine event, that is to say, after the completion of involution, when involution ends, matter comes into the existence and evolution starts taking place, and in evolution that which is already folded in the form or in the process of involution comes to be unfoldment. So in the evolution, in the unfoldment, the consciousness moves towards its integral plane. Because as in the phenomenon of involution, the divine consciousness comes to be separative more and more, more and more, more and more. But in evolution, the separative consciousness moves towards evolution. So therefore, the divine event in the second line of the epic speaks of the gradual unfoldment of the transcendent divine consciousness. The huge foreboding mind of night, N capital. Since N is capital, it is not an ordinary night, it is not a physical night. This night is the night which is the resultant state of the folded state of the divine consciousness. Since consciousness has not yet evolved, so the state which prevails in the pre-creation state of existence is what Sri Aurobindo terms night. So in this way, Sri Aurobindo presents the picture of pre-creation state of existence. Such a description cannot be called an imagination of mind, the mind which is itself the product of evolution. Mind is not at all capable of describing the pre-creation state of existence in such a way. In fact, it is this transcendent consciousness which makes Sri Aurobindo visualize the pre-creation state of existence. The very fact that Sri Aurobindo presents a very lucid picture of pre-creation state of existence manifests that he is the man of the supramental consciousness. Mental consciousness is the divided consciousness. It is the separative principle of consciousness. So, the consciousness which exists beyond the plane of separative consciousness or divided consciousness is the integral consciousness. So, we can use the term supramental, or in fact, Sri Aurobindo has used the term supramental. But since, as a reader, when we find that Sri Aurobindo is capable of presenting a pre-creation state of manner in such a beautiful way, it is crystal clear that he is the man of supramental consciousness. He was born with the supramental consciousness. He is the first man of this earth who was born with this very supramental consciousness. Nowhere in any other literature we find the description of the pre-creation state of existence. Savitri is the first literary document created by Sri Aurobindo which presents the pre-creation state of existence. The other manifestation of the supramental consciousness in Sri Aurobindo we find when Sri Aurobindo speaks of a yoga which could not come into the vision of the Vedic rishis, and it is the yoga of the supramentalization of the being of man. As just now I have told you that Sri Aurobindo has discovered the supramental consciousness. And he has also discovered that this supramental consciousness will descend into the earth existence, it will descend into matter itself, and matter will undergo the transcendent supramental evolution or supramental transformation. But first of all, this supramental transformation will descend into the being of man, for which man has to undertake the yoga of supramentalization. In his epic Savitri, we have two important characters. Of course, there are three characters: Savitri herself, her human father Ashwapati, and her husband Satyavan. There are three main characters of this epic. We know very well that epic is a long narrative poem. There is a story in the epic, in this very long poem. The yoga of supramentalization Sri Aurobindo presents in Savitri's yoga. Savitri undertakes a yoga to bring back the soul of her husband from the clutches of the death god Yam. So such a yoga is the yoga of supramentalization, which is the summit of yogic consciousness. There is another yoga which Sri Aurobindo has discovered, which is the yoga of the soul transformation of the body, life and mind, which are the three constituent parts of the being of a man. Sri Aurobindo could be able to discover this very yoga of psychicization only on account of the fact that he is the man of supramental consciousness, because the yoga of psychicization could not be discovered by the Vedic rishis. All the rishis of this earth could discover only the spiritual transformation of the being of man. We have so many spiritual luminaries. We have a description of a spiritual figure, well known is spiritual figure, Rishi Durvasa. Rishi Durvasa is known for his anger. Though he is a man of spiritual consciousness, he is known as a man of anger. So spiritual transformation could take place in him. But because the soul transformation of his body, life and mind could not take place in him, the very gravitational pull of the separativity of consciousness of these constituent parts could make him angry even though he ascended the spiritual planes. So there is a requirement of the soul transformation of body, life and mind, which Sri Aurobindo calls the yoga of psychicization. The divine self is at the center of the being of man. It exists in its two poises. The central poise is what he calls Jivatma. There is another poise of the divine self which he calls psychic being. It is a spark, a representative, a projection of the Jivatma. It exists behind the body, life and mind. As a result of undertaking the yoga of psychicization, the psychic being, which is the other poise of the divine self, comes in the front and takes over the command of this body, life and mind, as a result of which the transcendent integral divine consciousness percolates into these three parts, body, life and mind, and they no more remain separative consciousness. So when man ascends the plane of spiritual consciousness after undergoing this soul transformation or psychic transformation or psychicization of body, life and mind, there is no gravitational pull of the separativity of consciousness, so there is no danger of falling down. Man falls down as a result of his anger and so many mortals from which so many rishis suffer, as we find in the case of Rishi Durvasa. So Sri Aurobindo's supramental consciousness gives him the vision that this soul transformation or psychicization of body, life and mind is the most fundamental yoga, and on account of this yoga one is able to ascend decisively on the higher planes of spiritual consciousness. The ascent to the planes of spiritual consciousness is called spiritual transformation. So as man evolves to the higher planes of spiritual consciousness, the very gap between or distance between the psychic being and Jivatma reduces. But as a result of the yoga of supramentalization, as we see in the case of Savitri's yoga, the psychic being comes to be one with the Jivatma and the transcendent supramental consciousness descends into the being of man. So this very picture of this psychic being coming to be one with the Jivatma, which is the result of the yoga of supramentalization, could not come into the vision of any other rishis. It is Sri Aurobindo, he is the first yogi who could discover this truth. So this is also a very important piece of evidence that he is the man of supramental consciousness. That's all. Thank you very much.